Okay, hi everyone, welcome. I am so happy to be today again with another great friend of mine that has just beautiful information to give to us today so that you can continue on this beautiful, courageous journey of self-discovery. So today I want to introduce to you Norma Endara Muñoz. She is a teacher, a therapist. She was born here in California. And she now lives in Ecuador, South America, healing people in that area of the world as well. Hi, Norma. How are you?
Hi, Cookie. Hi, Carmen. How are you?
I am doing great and so excited to have you here with me today so that we can talk about the beautiful medicine that you have for people.
I'm so excited as well. So excited to be able to share my experiences that I have had throughout all these years. My journey, and I'm still learning. So I'm just so passionate about helping people feel well, making them aware of how they feel first in order to then help them along the way.
And that is so, I love that you said that, because sometimes we go through the motions in everyday life, right? We're walking and you incorporate the pain that you have here and you don't even pay attention to it anymore. And you just become oblivious of what is going on within you in your mind or in your body. And it is so important to become aware of what's going on, and then we can start tackling it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you're working at the computer or you're reading a book and all of a sudden you feel like, you know, I need some water. But you don't do anything about it, right? You just keep on working or you keep on reading, and then your poor body suffers because it had asked you originally, you know, I need some water. I'd like a little bit of water, and you just don't listen. So it's really, really, really important to listen to our bodies. But it's also very important if we as therapists or teachers or moms or dads, we want to help and we want to show our kids or our husbands or our parents or our clients wonderful exercises. We need to be okay first, right? So we need to be aware, we need to work with ourselves as well while we're working with other people. So that's something that I always mention to my patients' parents or my clients. You know, if you want to share things, you need to be okay yourself. You need to listen to yourself. Mm-hmm. So I actually work with a whole bunch of different programs. Oh. And I believe that every program has something for someone.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All programs are good, all of them. So depending on yourself or on whom you're going to work with, you need to observe and you need to understand what that person needs. So you can take a little bit from here, a little bit from there, or if you are looking for some stress relief and some good exercises, then you need to kind of observe yourself, answer questions, feel your body. So there is a program that's called Brain Gym.
It's called what? I'm sorry?
Brain Gym.
Brain Gym, okay.
Yes, this was developed by Paul Dennison, and he is from California, and he developed 26 activities in order for us to have balance and coordination and cross our midline. When I talk about crossing our midline, I'm talking about using both of our hemispheres, right?
Right.
When are we optimal? Is when both sides are communicating. And when we are under stress, we tend to get stuck either in one hemisphere or another hemisphere. And that's when a lot of things can happen. Our heart rate can change. Our breathing patterns can change. We have muscle contraction, or even our motivation. Oh, do I have to do this again? You know, all this kind of stuff starts to happen in your body. And that's when we get a little bit complicated, right? So with Brain Gym, we're talking about exercises that synchronize our communication, our organization, our ability to be in our optimal state in order to be able to pause if we have something that's going to stress us out. Right? And so if now with being quarantined at home, and we're not able to do everything that we were always used to doing, now's a good time to be able to pause and to feel what we feel in our body. So these 4 checks are really good. Heartbeat, our breathing, our muscle tone, and our internal language, motivation. So that's one of our programs.
Okay, so that's the Brain Gym. So just to go back a little bit, when somebody comes to you, you present to them the spectrum of the programs, like you say, the Brain Gym, and then the other ones that you have, and then together you choose which is the best one for that person?
So basically, let's take an example. Someone is feeling anxious and doesn't really understand why they're feeling anxious. Sometimes you can ask a person, so what makes you anxious? What's making you feel this way? And they can answer, I don't know. I don't know, I just feel stressed. I don't know, my kids, my husband, no school, no this, no that. I mean, there could be thousands of things that trigger that stress. So what I do is I do a type of assessment. I do a primitive reflex assessment. I do, that's basically where I start, especially if it's something to do with stress. So I'll start off with primitive reflexes. Now, primitive reflexes, what is that and what is it all about? Primitive reflexes are reflexes that babies are born with, right? And these reflexes are the ones that help them survive during birth and a little bit afterwards. So we have a whole bunch of reflexes that will integrate probably between 4 to 6 months. And then other reflexes will come along that we have to our adulthood. But there's one, so there's quite a few that I look at, but there's one that's really important to look at, which is the Moro reflex. That's the startle reflex. So when a baby hears a loud noise or feels like a drop, their first instinct is to go from in to out, right? And so what happens is they get stuck right there, right? And so a lot of crying happens, and the only thing that will calm them down is to bring everything back in. And how do they do that? Usually by a mother's hug, right? Now, what happens is anything can trigger or Moro reflex again. No matter if you are 8, if you are 15, if you are 20, 30, 60, it doesn't matter. It's usually when you are very highly stressed out.
Or could it be an event? Could
yes.
A certain event as well, you're not necessarily stressed out, but something happens, like, I don't know, an accident.
Yes, absolutely. Let me ask you a question. When you're walking in the street and you turn the corner And when you turn the corner, there's a person that was there, and you kind of almost bumped into each other. The reaction is, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we need.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of jump back and, right? So this is the difference. You jump back, you breathe, and you continue. But if your reaction is, and you kind of continue walking, but your heart's still pounding, or you can't catch your breath right away, that means that probably your Moro is not integrated. And that's just like a small example, because in reality, it's about maybe a child going into a classroom and they don't like that class, right? Maybe science or maybe math or something like that. And the child goes into that classroom, and that's the original startle, and the child won't learn anything in that class, right?
Right.
So there's exercises that I work with that will allow them to, in a sense, self-comfort themselves. There's one from Brain Gym that's called Hookups. That's fantastic, because you just bring everything out and in, and you breathe and you relax. So, you know, it's those type of exercises. There's a breathing exercise that I love, which is not with Brain Gym. It's just one that I picked up along the way, which is when you're sitting down, you inhale. Remember to always expand your stomach when you inhale, but you inhale good thoughts, right? And then when you exhale, while you bring your stomach in, you exhale negative thoughts, right? And so that's also something that is very helpful in moments where you're starting to feel that you have rapid breathing, or that your heart just starts to pound really quick, or even these, you know, your muscles start to contract in your neck, in your back, in your arms. Brain Gym is really, really good about helping with that, and also Primitive Reflexes. There's another program which is called Rhythmic Movements by, it's Blomberg's Rhythmic Movements by Harold Blomberg. And he basically works with movements from newborns that will self-soothe themselves.
Like rocking, things like
rocking that. And rocking back and forth and up and down and all these type of movements. Yes, they become automatic, right? And so the child learns how to self-soothe. Well, through these movements, as an adult or as a child or a teenager, you can also find that balance again and that self-soothing with different exercises that he uses. And he will also include the primitive reflexes, because it truly is. It's all the foundation. It's a foundation that you need to have. If that foundation is rocky, then everything else is rocky.
Yes.
Everything is rocky.
No, absolutely. I mean, they say that the first 5 years are crucial because of all that. The whole foundation of our beliefs and our health and everything is there in those first 5 years, where everything, according to Caroline Mays, it's during this time that everything is fed to us through the subconscious, you know.
Yes.
And yes, the pillars that sustain us throughout life are inserted then.
Yes, no, absolutely. The foundation is important for all of us, and we may lose ourselves as adults, and as children, you know, maybe they didn't go through all the stages, and maybe it's necessary to go back and look, right? So I always like to go back to basics.
And you know what? And that's the beautiful thing, that we can do that. it's not like just because right now you realize that this is going on and it's like you're doomed forever. No, we can actually go back and fix it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is amazing how all of this helps you to have a different outlook in life. Yeah. Once you realize, once you take some time and become self-aware of what your body's feeling under a certain circumstance, and then you have the power to change it. Because the minute you know is the minute you can do something about it.
Exactly.
So you do have the power. You have the power to calm yourself. Because problems, there will always be problems. There will be sadness, there will be anger, there will be things that are completely out of your hands.
Yeah.
But what's the key to all of this is how you are going to react.
Exactly.
Are you going to react at a point where you're just going to get stuck? Or are you going to react and accept what's going on, cry, stomp your feet, whatever you want to do? You can do that. You're supposed to do that, right? But also for a little while. Then you need to recover, right? You need to recover, you need to breathe and pause and move forward and find a solution if there needs to be a solution. And if not, you have to ride the wave out until it all calms down again.
Exactly, exactly. Exactly. And that's the moment, I guess, when you realize, once you've done the stomping and everything, then you can decide, can I change this? You change it. I can't change this. How am I going to face what's going on inside me? How am I going to deal with this? Because I have to deal with it. And that is also the very important part too, that you know that you need to deal with it. Otherwise, you're going to carry it as baggage into your life forward. And that's what I think we all deep down want to do, is get rid of the baggage,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's another thing that I do work with, because I think it's also important. Talking about all the emotional stuff that goes on, we also are in a container. The container is our body.
Right.
So we have to understand where our body is in space and how far our body goes, right? So many of us need to really get grounded as well. Not only emotionally, but also physically. And so I think they go hand in hand, right? And so there are exercises in all these programs, whether it be brain gym, vision training, Blomberg rhythmic movement. All of these programs also find a way to make you understand your body and to ground your body visually as well as auditory. And if that happens, you've got 50-50, right? So you've got the physical part and you've got the emotional part, and there's that balance. So it's really, really important as well to have this, where am I in space? This grounding. So it kind of goes both ways, physical and emotional as well. Yoga is fantastic for that as well.
Of course, yoga is fantastic, and yeah, so many. I mean, I hear you talking, and in chakra dance, which is a practice that I do, it's also about connecting with the body and connecting what you feel, and just knowing, just connecting with that inner knowingness that we all have, and that sometimes gets so lost with the craziness that goes on in the mind, or because of the craziness of the experiences that we go through,
Right.
So,
right.
So yeah. So in general, people, what if somebody wanted to work with you, they come with any kind of ailment? I mean, they can feel stressed or have problems learning. What is it? Who is the
it goes across the board. It really does. I've got kids that have been diagnosed with ADHD.
Okay.
I have kids that have trouble reading. I have teenagers that are trying to study, but they just feel that they feel anxiety, they feel stressed, they feel that they can't read 30, 50, 70 pages. I've got college students as well right now. I've also got adults that are, I think because of the pandemic, they have had to stop working. And so they're feeling right now, looking for a sense of who I am and why am I here kind of situation. I have a few of those clients as well. I also have a TBI, which is a traumatic brain injury person. She had COVID. She was in coma for 2.5 months in the hospital. And when she was released, she wasn't able to swallow or to walk or to do anything in reality. And slowly with therapists, she was able to swallow and eat and walk. And she has, at the moment right now, she is legally blind. But she has some sight, a little bit of sight. And this has been progressing. So I work with her in 2 areas. I work with her in the area of confidence, of feeling self-confidence, of learning how to breathe again, really, truly, excuse me, to be able to relax, to learn things. And so, excuse me, I work with her with that, as well as trying to work a little bit with ocular motor, so that she understands where she is in space. So I'm doing that. So I actually truly work across the board, because I think, so when a child is not sitting in their seat often, right? We ask ourselves, why? I mean, maybe we don't ask ourselves. Maybe we just say, oh, that child is either, you know, not well behaved or something like that, right? But we don't ask ourselves, why? So could it be that he has no control, muscle tone control? That's one of the primitive reflexes. So let's try to work that, and let's see how it goes. And not necessarily try to, so he missed this class about fractions, and now we have to reteach fractions. When I can reteach fractions 20 times, and this child may not get it because that's not the underlying situation.
Right, right.
So we always, whenever we work with anyone, right? Anyone, we need to ask ourselves, what's the underlying reason why this is happening? Yeah.
That is fascinating. So ADHD can be easily treated with these exercises. Just kind of building up again, like I would say, like redoing the foundation because it somehow was done improperly.
And maybe it wasn't done improperly, but something happened along the way. And so the child got frightened because of something or got stressed because of something. And so it didn't necessarily, all the steps happened. It's just that something along the way may have caused this child to not want to do something. And because that child doesn't want to do something, that child will talk to their classmate. And, you know, and I'm talking about this when someone diagnoses something non-medically, right? Because when a child goes to a doctor or a neurologist and that neurologist diagnoses ADHD because of electrical situations in the brain or things like that, that's a different story. But we can help them. We can help them because we can help them be aware of what they're feeling. And when they feel that way, what can they do about it? So yes, we can help. I have a few patients that have not been diagnosed officially dyslexia, but they think that it could be dyslexia. And so what I try to do is work a lot with directionality, but having their bodies feel the directionality. So it has helped a lot. It has helped a lot. So all these diagnoses that there are and exist, I think we can help them. I think we can help them with yoga. I think we can help them with the chakra dances. I think we can help them with brain. I think all programs have something wonderful to offer.
Yes, absolutely. It all, and each person is different. So each one will resonate with whatever is within them, and they'll know. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the best. They are the best gauges that we can go with. They'll tell us what they feel comfortable with and what they don't feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And they'll be open to listening to us when they feel comfortable, when they feel safe. Because we have, when we have stress, we go back to our survival skills, which are fight, flight, and fright. Fight,
Freeze.
Fight, and freeze.
Freeze.
And so we got to learn how to get out of that and teach everyone to get out of that. So yeah.
So important because the stressful lives that we lead today tend to keep us in the survival mode, and that's very detrimental to the physical body and to the mental health as well. When
it all has to do with breathing and food and those are things that are important.
And breathing, I tell you, each day I'm discovering more and more how important taking a deep breath is. It's sometimes we would get mad as we were younger and somebody would tell you, okay, just take a slow breath, and I'm like, I don't want to. But oh my God, taking a slow breath, a deep breath can really change your perspective of things, and it's just so good for you, so good. I remember one time I was going through a difficult situation, and I remember seeing my yoga teacher in my mind and telling me, do this breathing. And I started doing this breathing where you cover one and then the other. And after doing that for 5-6 times, it was just so amazing how my whole body felt calm. Yeah. So breathing is huge, and we don't give it all the importance. And it's so simple. It's free, and it's in our hands every second of the day. I mean, that's what we do naturally. And we're always breathing just here, but I don't know. Just take time during the day.
There was a teacher of mine that gave us a suggestion when we do breathing exercises to think of our lungs as balloons. And so when the air goes in and you think you can't take any more air in, you can. And that's when you think of it as a balloon, where it expands vertically and horizontally.
Oh, beautiful.
And when you think you've just had enough, just a little bit more. And then it's fantastic. But you know what? Online, there are so many great breathing exercises that anyone can find and do. But I think that like you said, it is so important, and it's the foundation, and it's basic, and it's free.
It's free, and it's free. Yeah, absolutely. But okay, so going back to your medicine, so you have three or four things that work together to get the results that you seek. Which ones, could you summarize what they were?
Sure. I work with Brain Gym and Blomberg Rhythmic Movements. Blomberg.
Okay.
Rhythmic Movements, and also vision training, which helps the visual part make you ground yourself a lot more, right? This, and like when we work with central peripheral vision, for example, we're talking, let's look at a point in front of you, right? Just any little dot or anything that you see in front of you. Breathe. And now try to tell me what you see around the room while you keep your eyes on that specific point.
I can say I see the lamp, I see my little thing hanging over here, I see the screen over here. Okay, and I keep just looking at the point. I see a couch. Okay.
So in reality, you're using your periphery, right? So that's helping you understand where you are in space.
Okay.
Yes, it helps our periphery. Yes, it'll help us with reading. It'll help us with everything. But it definitely helps us understand where we are in the room.
Okay.
That's just like a little exercise. There's a lot more exercises, but that's the idea, right? So that's why I also use vision training. I trained as a vision therapist in Houston with Dr. Voss. She's amazing. And truly I learned so much that combined, that just kind of came together with everything else I do. And so it just kind of all works. It all works together. It's amazing.
That is so wonderful. That is so, so good. I like it. I like this. Because, yeah, I'm sure there are so many people that will relate to this a lot more easier than if I start talking to them about tapping, for example, then you have to fully go into your emotions. And that sometimes is not easy for people, you know? It's not so, I mean, yeah, I mean, we're all going through turmoil sometimes of emotions. And if we can just relate and like you said, have our brain connect and talk from the both sides, things will resolve in a way that maybe then you can start also going in more deeply and maybe looking at your emotions from a different point of view and then continue the same work, but from a deeper level.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I said, our body's our container.
They are.
It contains everything. It contains our proprioceptive, our central nervous system, you know, where our brain and our spinal cord just kind of communicate with our muscles and things. But then in our brain, we have the midbrain, which is all the emotion, where all that is. And so it's all here.
It's all here. And then the cerebellum, where it's all the ancient stuff, all the ancestor, all the very old that we're carrying from, you know, from way back. So yes, it is a container. Everything is there. And our emotions, I believe, are the ones that are that kind of sculpted, if we could say it somehow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree. And, you know, it's just like, you know, you were talking about the history and all that. It's a certain smell, right? So all of our senses are so important, and we have to be aware of all of our senses. A certain smell will either trigger something positive or trigger something negative, maybe. Yeah. And then all that emotion just kind of just brings it all together, and you go into you know, flight or freeze, or, you know, you're startled, and it just, it's all connected.
It's all connected. What about the song? That song that reminds me of.
Oh yes.
A song
tear
can take you into happiness or can just drive you down.
Yes. I agree. Totally. No, it's crazy, but what you're doing right now is wonderful, because you're informing everyone about all the things that they are able to do. And and they're able to do it. They've got the power. So what you're doing is fantastic. I really congratulate you because
Thank you.
you're getting the word out, and it's important.
Yes, that's my goal. That's what I want. People to know that if they don't resonate with, I don't know, tapping, there is a brain gym, or there is the Enneagram that somebody else was talking about, or Reiki, or so many other things. There are just so many things that can help you, and you can start with one and then go to another one, and just, it doesn't have to be one thing. We're multidimensional. I love that word about what we are. We're multidimensional. That means that we can use different tools to go as deep as we want within ourselves, and create each day a more beautiful version of who we are within every experience that we have to live here in this life. Because in a way, I truly believe that if we're in this life, it's because we want, in some level, to experience everything that it has to offer from the extremes. Hopefully we stay in the middle. Sometimes we have to experience a little bit of the extremes, but
right. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. We've got so much more to learn.
I know. Yeah, we do. We do. Well, Normita, thank you. Thank you so much for this. I think it has been very informative for people. And if I will give your information, put it on the post so that people can know to reach out to you if they need to, and or if they want to find somebody in their area that works with these techniques. I'm sure you can help them with that too, if you know of them. And yeah, thank you very, very, very much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
Love you.